Welcome. This is the Senior Safety Advice Podcast, and we are so glad that you've made it to a calmer corner of your day. Here, we focus on real solutions, practical help, and the kind of encouragement we could all use a little more of. So let's get to it.
All right. So I'm going to start. All right. So hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. This is for on Aging in Place Directory and on Senior Safety Advice and also on those YouTube channels as well. So today I am so happy to talk with Christy Heyer. She's a master's level OT, a certified hand therapist, which is really, really hard. I have to tell you that. And she also began a company called Comfortable Aging Solutions. So we're going to talk to Christy and find out how she transitioned from one thing to the other and what she plans to do with that amazing company. Hi, Christy.
Hi. Thank you for having me on here. I'm just really excited to talk to you and just talk about, the new business I started.
Oh,
So thank you. I've been an occupational therapist for 25 years. And like you said, a hand therapist as well. I've literally worked in every field of OT that exists. And loved all that experience. But through a lot of like personal issues, I had a medical crisis about 13 years ago, which we can probably talk about in a little bit. Um, and doing years and years of home health, I got so sick and tired of seeing my patients and their families just absolutely implode when somebody, had a fall or what I not so lovingly call the shit show. Um, don't know if you allow cuss words on your show, but you might have to bleep me.
no, that's fine. I get it. I get it.
So, I would get there either before the shit show happened or right during it or afterwards. A lot of times it was afterwards. And, that people had not planned for something happening to the mom and dad, or they thought mom and dad already have a plan, right? They've got this all figured out. They know what's going on. And nobody had. And of course, something happens. And as you well know, family dynamics can play a huge role. And this makes, it can destroy relationships between siblings and parents and their kids. And it doesn't have to be that way. And I just kept thinking, oh my God, if I could have been here 6 months to a year ago, I'm not saying it wouldn't have happened, but this probably wouldn't be happening to this degree. They wouldn't be losing everything, they owned and have to go on, maybe a government subsidized insurance or something to that effect.
It's so
Um,
traumatic for families. It really is.
Incredibly traumatic. And people that haven't been through it really can't, I don't think, fully understand how much it can really just destroy everything. So
Right.
that's pretty much what kind of made me do it. My dad, I was also really, really close to him. And unfortunately, he passed away almost 3 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And my mom and I had talked to my parents about all this stuff already, thankfully. And my mom has Alzheimer's, so I care for her. So I know this can be done. And I always treasure my relationship with my parents and my family, and I want to help other people do the same thing.
I love it. So tell us about what the company does, what you want it to do.
Well, it's me, myself, and I in the company. And as of now, and what I'm really wanting to do is just help teach families, the aging parents, the adult children, what are some of the things that they can do now? Even if, the aging at home is maybe in the next 5 years or maybe next year, what can be done financially, legally, and just day-to-day activities and tasks and who's going to do what for medications, where the aging parent's going to live. Help them just kind of create a holistic sort of plan and a way forward to how to handle those things and put certain things in place so they don't have, the shit show happen.
Right. Right. So it's everything, basically.
Yes.
So when you walk in to meet the family, um, I mean, you must have so many resources for them, right then and there, of course, depending on what they need.
Right. Yes. And it depends on, where they're at in this whole thing. Again, some people have already been through it and they're just trying to recover and don't want it to happen again. And they're not even sure what to do next, even if they have, been through therapy, had therapy at home, or you went to outpatient therapy or had interacted with a social worker. A lot of times, you and I both know as occupational therapists, we only have so much time with the patient. And
Right.
that's one thing that really frustrated me working for other people is I wanted to do so much more. And my hands were like literally tied because, I had a certain number of patients I had to see every day, and I really just didn't have the time to do it.
Exactly.
And so with my own business, I can take that time that makes me feel good about really covering all the aspects of what this really requires because it requires home safety first. I created my own home safety evaluation that's really pretty comprehensive from anything I've done in the past 25 years. That also includes kind of outside the home as well. Because a lot of people, who are by themselves and aging, they're still mobile and get around and do stuff. And obviously, falls happen outside too. So I
It's
cover
true.
that as well as everything that goes on from that point on.
It's true. I mean, aging in place includes the environment, everything. And that means inside the house, outside the house, at the grocery store, in the car, at the theater,
Everything.
whatever it is that that person does. And that's the
Yes.
beauty of OT. It's all about molding the environment to fit the person. I
Yes.
always loved that philosophy of OT. And, that's where adaptive products come in. That's
Mhm.
where design comes in, universal design. I mean,
Mhm.
so many things. It's like you can never get bored being an OT. It's just
Exactly
amazing.
right. That's one of the reasons, it sounds like we both chose this profession is I knew there were so many different areas to specialize in. And that's why I wanted to do them all because I wanted to find something I love. And I love doing hands, being a certified hand therapist. I absolutely love that for years. But then again, like as I came back to do more home health and what happened with my dad and everything, I just realized at this point in my life, that really is my passion for myself and everybody else.
Awesome. Awesome. I love that. Now, you spoke about a personal incident that happened a few years ago, and obviously that impacted the decision and the course in your life, which most things that are traumatic do impact the
Yeah,
course of your life.
they
So
tend to
tell
be
us.
life altering.
Yeah, well, yeah, and it gives you a lesson too, somehow, some
Mhm.
way, if you can find that in an event. So tell us about what happened because it's a fascinating story.
Yeah, everybody kind of freaks out when they hear about it because it is really unusual. But 13 years ago, so I was like 42 at the time, I died of a heart attack. And I was dead for about 2.5 minutes, which I know may not sound like a long time. I know people are, dead longer than that, but obviously it's enough.
Yeah, it's enough.
And yeah, long story sort of short, I learned later that I have a kind of rare heart condition. It's called SCAD, spontaneous coronary artery dissection. And you can go to Mayo Clinic's website to find out more information about it. But that's really what caused my heart attack. And it's a disease where the interior lining of your cardiac vessels tear and it creates a clot. And I didn't know, I knew I was having some sort of cardiac event, but I didn't know really what was happening. And so later on, I died. I had 3 stents put in my heart as an emergency surgery that night. And then I was later referred to Mayo Clinic, which is where I learned I had this SCAD, the spontaneous coronary artery dissection. And that, of course, set forth a whole, series of changes in my life. Even though I've always been the person that's like, oh, I love you. I got to hug you. Who knows if I'll see you tomorrow? I've always been that kind of person anyway. But it really, I guess I'll say, crystallized for me the real finality of mortality. And that sounds so cliche, and I hate cliches, but it is so true. It is just so true. And just different things I knew I need to really get done in my life to bring back the quality and joy in my life. And I knew that's something I was really missing. So it made me really focus on, you know, for my belief anyway, we're not here forever. I mean, obviously we all die, but There's another place, I'm a Christian and I believe in heaven, but whatever you believe, we're going to die. And the quality of life that we have here is so critical.
Yeah,
And I feel like, I'll never have that experience again. So it's really made me, feel super passionate even more about just helping improve people's quality of life, whether you're the aging parent or you're the adult kid.
absolutely. I mean, I think when you have a traumatic event like that, I mean, I think dying, even for 2.5 minutes, is
Enough.
considered a traumatic event. So I think that when you have that, it really forces you to focus on, it really forces you to set in stone your core values. Because I think most
Yes,
people don't think about that. They don't think about what their core values are. And then when you do think about it, and when you do actually write them down and have them in front of
Mhm.
you, it's almost like having the commandments in front of you kind of thing. When
It
you
is,
do,
yeah.
yeah, when you do that, then every decision you make is, well, does this match my core value? Does this match my core value? If it does, go with it. If not, then you put it away. And that helps to keep you aligned, I think, with,
It makes life so much simpler, I feel like.
oh yeah,
As
and
there's no, oh,
purposeful.
should I do this? Should I do that? It's like you said,
Yeah,
is this one of my goals in life? Okay,
yeah,
no, then we're done.
then
The
we're
other
done.
thing actually it also really did for me too, as OTs, obviously we spend a ton of our time educating people. And
Right.
I live in a city where we have just amazing medical care. And even at that time, 13 years ago, our medical team, my cardiologist, my whole medical team, they were fantastic. Even so, there was a lot of gaps in my experience as
Mm,
having a patient having a medical crisis through the medical system. There was a lot of education that I knew I should have been getting, but I didn't, but I already knew. Um, and even like cardiac therapy, like that was never something that was recommended to me, but I knew being a therapist and I mean, I knew all these things that I needed to have done. And so
interesting.
I had to really fight for my own, I won't say fight. I had to be assertive, proactive, and say, I want you to order this for me. I want this. I want that. And it was fine. But, it's just an example of even somebody knowing the system, there's gaps. And it just makes it a million times harder, obviously, for people that don't know where those gaps are in the system to try to be able to work it.
Exactly. So when you work with your clients, are they clients or patients? I guess they're clients.
I call them clients now, yeah, because they're not, referred to me by a doctor or getting out of the
Yeah,
hospital recently, stuff like that.
right. I know. So when do you talk about advocates? Do you talk about where they can find advocates to help them if they do end up or when they do end up in the hospital or rehab or whatever?
Yes, they definitely can. And a lot of times now, depending on a person's insurance, they'll have, a care manager or a case manager, or a nurse that kind of acts as their advocate to some degree, not completely. But yeah, there are, I know, independent nurses out there that do that on a private basis, if that's something that the hospital system or your insurance doesn't help address. But really, it's more, you're probably better off hiring somebody on your own. I personally feel, just because I feel like they're more likely to really pay attention to the details for you and might be a little bit more customized than maybe somebody from your insurance or health system. But that's just my personal opinion.
Just a quick break. If you're hunting for meaningful holiday gifts for an older adult or a caregiver, I've rounded up my favorite ideas at seniorsafetyadvice.com/gifts. They're practical, uplifting, and perfect for showing you care. That's seniorsafetyadvice.com/gifts now. Let's continue.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't think that they need an advocate, but there's so much ageism out there. You know, you don't
Hmm.
really realize it until it hits you in the face. Some of my friends are now having health issues and they're calling me and saying, I can't believe he said that, or, the doctor said that,
Yes.
or the nurse treated me like that, or,
Yep.
whatever. And I think families don't, they don't realize that. But I think in general, especially here in the US, I don't know about other countries, but here in the US, we really don't have a very good view of aging. This whole
Correct.
thing of aging with dignity. I mean, it's a phrase, but I don't know that people really understand what that means. What do you think
Yes.
about that?
And that's something that drives me insane. My blood pressure right now is rising just talking. I promise I'm not going to have a heart attack on air.
Please, please don't. Please don't. Yeah.
No, but I always just feel like, we need to just try to be a little more positive about aging. I mean, I know obviously as I was growing up and I'm 56, but it was like, oh yeah, grandma gets older and she just moves in with you and she just lives in your house and you just move along, or they just end up in the nursing home. That's just how it is. And as you get older, you become more useless and you don't have any purpose in your life and you don't have any feelings, you don't care about anything anymore. And it could not be more untrue. That is 100% lie.
Right.
And I feel like we should just try to focus more on what are some positive things about aging. We are lucky. I feel blessed. And that's another cliche word, but I love it. That to be able to live to certain ages. I
Yeah.
mean, it is a privilege, and there are actually a lot of benefits. There's great things about being in your 20s, 30s, 40s, early 50s, all that too. But I don't want to relive my 20s right now. So yeah, I feel like we need to have more of a positive spin and a positive outlook on getting older.
How do you think that can be approached? Or how do you think
Us
that
just
can be
talking more about it, like what you and I are doing right now, and also, and I know this is really hard to do, trying to get more of that conversation into mainstream media. I mean, I know that's a whole beast in itself that to try to crack into. And that may or may never happen. I don't know. But I feel like as long as there's a lot of people like you and I doing podcasts or talking on social media or whatever, our kids, our families, I think it all has to start right there, number one.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, it has to start there, that awareness. But there is that emotional factor, where people don't want to admit it. People don't want to face it, deny, 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 head in the sand kind of thing until something happens. And like you said, the shit show begins. And as OTs, we see the end, we see the after effects of that shit show. And, we know that it can be prevented, at least to some major extent, really.
Yes.
But I'm sure elder law attorneys face the same issue. I can't believe how many people I know have children and do not have a will. I mean,
Mhm.
they face the same thing. It's like they just want to shake people and say, "Wake
Yeah.
up!"
Yeah.
And I don't know how. It is like dragging a donkey across the road. It's like
Yes,
the other
it
side of
is.
the road is good, but you've got to drag that donkey across the road.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, and like what you're saying too, I mean, so many, not only do the aging parents not want to talk about it, but a lot of times the adult kids don't want to talk about it. And because,
Right.
like I said, we went across people that are like, oh, well, don't mom and dad have that taken care of already? And that's another thing, going through my heart attack. After that, I talked to my parents and I'm like, hey, these are all things we need to talk about right now. Where do you want to live as you get older? Do you want to pay strangers to come in your house and take care of you? I will wipe your butt, give you a shower, all that stuff that I can do. Obviously, being an OT, that's right up my alley.
Right.
But what do you want to do, and how much money are you willing to throw at it?
Right.
And thankfully, they lived, my mom or my dad lived another 13 years or 10 years or whatever, and they had addressed all those issues. And since my dad's passing, we've seen elder care attorney, which is absolute must. Not a regular attorney. You have to see an elder care attorney. And we
Absolutely.
created a special trust for my mom, and because my parents had a different type of trust before, talked to financial planners, to maximize the investments and different things that you can do to save money for when you get older.
Exactly. And you need a lot. I mean, my
Yeah.
mom-in-law died at 102, and the last 2 years of her life, I know she was extremely active, but the last 2 years of her life, she wasn't, and she needed 24-hour care, nursing care, and that cost 20,000 a month, and that was a few years ago. I mean, that was it was a lot. I mean, they had, of course, they sold the condo and, did whatever they needed to do.
Yeah.
But it's still, people don't realize, and everyone well, not everyone, but a lot of people think Medicare will pay for it or
Yeah.
long-term care insurance will pay for it. And it'll pay
Yeah,
for part of it, but, or maybe some of it, but um,
definitely
not
not
definitely
all.
not all of it. So you've got to
Well, like,
put that money away.
yes, for having any kind of private duty caregiver in the home, obviously no insurance pays for that. There are certain types of Medicaid that may
Mm-hmm.
cover part of it depending on
Mm-hmm.
their plan and so forth. But, um, for the one that we've been using for my mom to have 24/7 care, it would be $360,000 a year. Um,
That's like buying
I
a house.
mean,
Well, I don't know about nowadays, but it is like buying a small house.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Unfortunately, I have a small house at this point in time, but, people just fall over when I tell them that because, who would have thought that, when you put
yeah,
a real number to it.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, when you do put a number to it. And I'm sure that's part of your role as well. So when you
yeah.
walk in and is part of your portfolio, I mean, your whatever you hand over to the client, does that include also like the people you may recommend, like an elder law attorney, a geriatric care manager, social worker, whatever? You have those people in there, or do you just rely on the client to get their own?
No, I'm right now actually still kind of working on building my network and community, both online and even here in town. I live in Fort Wayne, Indiana. But yeah, I already have elder care attorneys I've hooked up with,
Good.
and continuing to do so, financial planners, nursing care managers that, do case management work privately on the side. I mean, those people are invaluable.
They
I
are.
mean, they are just there's so much critical knowledge that you need to know. And I'm learning so much from them too for my own situation with my husband and family and I.
Exactly. I mean, that's the other beautiful side of being an OT is you learn what to do for yourself,
Yeah.
which I love, which I love. So, what do you think are the top three modifications that people can do in their environment to extend their safety, their independence, their life, yeah, and give the family peace of mind? What are your top three, if you have
Yeah. I mean, I feel like everybody talks about the bathroom.
it? Yeah.
And obviously, you know, us OTs, we could talk about the bathroom 24/7, no problem. But obviously a lot of falls happen there, right? I
Yeah.
mean, of course, being a slippery area. So I think grab bars are probably one of the biggest soapboxes I get on, because I feel like they are critical.
Hmm.
And also the right grab bar. I'm really picky about my grab bars. I don't recommend any of the ones that are like really smooth and don't have any kind of texture to it.
I know, I love the textured ones. I don't know why they don't make more of those.
I know. There's really only like a couple brands,
I
and I've
know.
even taken kinesio tape for patients and clients. I wrapped kinesio tape around the smooth grab bars so they had more texture to grab onto.
Yeah,
But the textured ones, yes, are the only ones I recommend. The length matters.
right.
And another thing that I'm sure you're going to agree with me on this too as well is placement. I
Oh,
hate
yeah.
it when they have the bathroom modeler come in and they're just like, "Yep, grab bar should go here, here." Well, you know what? What if your mother-in-law's 4 feet tall? Because mine
Yeah.
is actually.
Yeah.
That positioning is not going to work for her.
Right.
And like tub benches and shower chairs. I love a tub bench.
Yeah.
And I've had so many different situations where people have spent tons of money remodeling a shower,
Hmm.
and the person still can't use the shower because they cannot step in and out. Everyone thinks, the walk-in shower is the end all be all. Well, I mean, it can be great, but if you can't stand up and step into a shower, you're not going to be able to use it anyway, you
Right.
know?
Right.
So the bathroom equipment for me is a really big thing. And then just I'd say probably number three is just general clutter in walkways. People have so much stuff. I've got a dog and there's dog toys that I'm constantly moving out of the way because I tend to trip over them sometimes. And I
Yeah.
ain't no spring chicken. So,
I get
but those
it.
are
I
probably
get
my
it.
top three.
I get it. I know I have two cats, so I have some cat toys around. So when it's time for the Roomba, I've got to go around and pick up, the cat toys. And I've gotten to the point now where I love the technology of the Roomba,
Mm.
but I noticed at the beginning when I first started using it that furniture wasn't always Roomba friendly. So when I
Ah,
go to buy any furniture, when I bought my last sofa, I said it has to be Roomba friendly.
that's a
And
good
I don't
point.
know why furniture stores don't advertise that, because I think they would sell more of that actually. Um,
Yes,
but yeah, I mean, otherwise, what's the point of having the Roomba if it can't go into
right.
places you don't get? But what do I
Yes,
know? So,
a
yeah,
lot.
I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder. But the other thing, as you were saying, yeah, that threshold in the shower, I mean, it may only be an inch or 2 inches or
Mm.
whatever. You're right. If you don't have the grab bar to get in there, if you need the help, if you can't stand up safely and take a step, basically standing on one leg while you
Yep,
take that other step, then nothing is good. You're not going to be able, you're right, to get into that shower. And if the doorway isn't wide enough, and I mean, there's just so many little details. And obviously the zero threshold shower is the best, but it has to fit in the room. Water doesn't get everywhere. There's a whole scenario to that. So yeah, I love the tub bench. I love the ones that have the slide where you can sit on it, get your legs over, and then
you
slide.
can slide
The,
through.
the unit, the seating actually slides over. I think that's amazing. And
That's
now they're
pretty
making
cool.
some beautiful ones, out
I
of teak
know.
and all kinds of things. It doesn't
Yeah,
have to look like a hospital anyway.
exactly.
It just,
Exactly.
right, it just has to be functional and practical. So,
Yes.
mentioning Roomba, how do you see AI stuff, or are there any, not necessarily AI, but are there any technological things or smart home things? And do you have a smart home person in your portfolio, your Rolodex to give to people? And do you recommend any of that, or is that something that you just want to, you know, not touch
Not
on,
deal
or
with.
I don't know. Yeah.
No, I mean, I feel like, technology and AI or whatever is going to be critical.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, you and I both have had patients, I'm sure, with the life alert necklace that, it senses if you fall or you drop a certain amount and it can call somebody. I know there's a lot of systems now, like even the Alexa. Okay, we've got an Alexa too, but I don't have her hooked up to like all my lighting and all that stuff. But some friends of mine do that have some issues getting around, and they have the level of Alexa where you can turn off lights, you can turn on and off TV, you can call somebody if you're laying on the floor. And I know there's a lot of new technology coming up that uses like ultrasonic waves or something to that matter on the
Oh,
walls. Like you
yeah.
don't have to be wearing anything. You're
Yeah.
supposed to be walking and it can sense where you're going and whether or not you have fallen. Now, I'm not definitely not up to date on all that stuff because I can't learn about it that fast. But yeah, I mean, that's one of the people, one of the things of the people I'm trying to get in my network, including you, which has been wonderful.
Oh,
You've
thank you.
learned, I have learned many of the technology things, and areas to look at because of you too. And so that's actually been really exciting for me because I know there are so many smart home devices. You can now go up to your refrigerator, and I think you can just like tap outside the refrigerator, and the whole thing lights up, and a big screen shows you everything that's in the refrigerator. And so there could be all kinds of really cool things. And I think obviously it's going to just keep improving, even over the next 5, 10 years. My gosh, I don't even know all the stuff that's going to be available.
Oh yeah, I think, I have been seeing a lot of podcasts on and YouTube videos on all these amazing technologies that are coming up. And the general consensus is that between the next 2 and 5 years, everything is going to change drastically, and we're not even going to recognize where we are now. It really is going to be amazing. It's scary, but it's also going to be quite amazing. But you're right.
Exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting
Scary and
because a
exciting.
lot of these things can really help. I mean, the driverless
Yeah.
car. Can you imagine being a blind or have low vision or unable to
Mhm.
drive anymore, and then just being able to call your car on your phone, or tap whatever, like a Star Trek thing, tap on your
Yeah,
chest
I
and
know.
call the car. I don't
Beam
know
me
what's
up,
going to come
Scotty.
up. Yeah, I don't know. But, with Alexa, there's so many things you can use with Alexa. I mean, just all you have to do is get those smart plugs and then
Uh-huh.
just hook it up to Alexa, which is just a phone thing, a phone app. And then, yeah, it can turn on your lights, it can turn on your TV, it puts them on a timer, it can use your voice, and any Alexa device you can use as a telephone. You don't need any
Yeah.
special Alexa thing. And the Echo Show is even better because with the Echo Show, you can like video chat from one
Yep.
Echo Show to another Echo Show. So I tell a lot of my friends that have grandchildren or, that are older and have adult children, both of you should have Echo Shows so that you
Yeah.
can have video chats with each other. And then you can use that device as an Alexa device for everything.
That's
And
amazing.
now with the continued conversation, all you have to do is ask Alexa to update itself, doesn't cost any more. And you just say, I want to do the conversational Alexa. And all that means is that you say, Alexa, what's the weather today? It'll tell you. And then you don't have to say Alexa again. As long as you see the blue wave going, which is like for another 10 seconds or 15 seconds, you can just continue the conversation. The other day I said, "What's the weather?" And it said, "Oh, it's going to be a high of 40 degrees." And I responded immediately and said, "Oh, it's a good day for hot tea." And then because it's connected to Amazon, it came back and said, "Oh, yes, I see that you really love those Ticino teas. Should we order some?"
So there's a box of 500 now on its way to your house.
I'm like, "Oh my God." Yeah, I mean,
It's kind of creepy and cool at the same time, isn't it?
from a user
Mm-hmm.
perspective, it's creepy, but from a marketer perspective, it's
Mm-hmm.
brilliant. I mean,
Yes.
Amazon is definitely they got their act going on. That's for
I've
sure.
even had a lot of patients use the Alexa for medication reminders and home
Yes.
exercise reminders.
Yes.
You
I mean,
know,
it's
that
great
works
for
out good.
reminders. My
Yeah.
washer and dryer are upstairs. So when I turn it on upstairs, I use Alexa to tell me it's
Ah.
been an hour, go up and change, put it in the dryer or whatever. Yeah, it can remind you of everything. You can put your calendar on there and you can
Yes.
wake up in the morning and say, Alexa, what's on my calendar? You can argue with it. You can do history chats. You can do jokes. You can do, it's just,
It's like
it's
another
amazing.
person talking to another person,
It is like talking to
really.
another person, and that's the creepy part. Yeah, yeah, my friends love coming over and chatting with Alexa, because they just think it's so weird. So
Oh, I love that.
so going into people's homes and then seeing, and decluttering, when you mentioned decluttering, I personally think decluttering is the very first step in aging in place.
Hmm.
It has to be in order to accommodate anything new to
Yeah.
make your life safer. So okay, so with that in mind, what do you see or what do you think will happen in the next 5 years or so as far as aging in place, as far as these homes? I'm hoping more homes will be built with elevators. That's what I'm hoping for. But
Yes.
what do you think?
Yes. Yeah. Are you talking about new construction or how current
Yeah,
homes?
well, it would
Yeah,
be
I
nice
mean,
to put them in existing homes, but for new
and they
construction,
can to some degree. Obviously, it just depends on,
hmm
your house construction, all that stuff. But
hmm
yeah, because, most of the people that I've seen, and maybe you too, I don't know, have used the stair lifts.
yeah,
If you don't have an elevator or something, as a worst case scenario. And again, it's an expense, they're usually thousands of dollars.
right,
But I think a lot of newer homes now are being built actually a little smaller,
yes,
more affordable,
yes,
because obviously we all know everything is extremely expensive.
right,
I feel like they're actually starting to be built smaller and with more technology in them. I mean, that's kind of just what I've seen, in different videos and stuff like that to make it, easier. One level, what, yeah, sorry, a one level home. I didn't
yeah,
have all my coffee. Making it easier to get around. But even like, my husband and I, we live in a 2-story on top of a basement.
yeah,
And I, plan on using a, stair lift if we get to that point or whatever, or who knows, maybe at some point we'll have to move and go to a ranch level home that, is more of a smart home. I don't know. But yeah, I feel like technology, like we were talking before, is just a tremendous factor in staying at home as you get older.
Yeah,
If the person has been educating themselves along the way on using some of the technology. We
agree.
both know, I mean, I've had people that really can't do a Zoom meeting with me or FaceTime, and they don't have anybody available really to help them. So yeah, they can be
Agreed.
beneficial, but obviously you got to know how to use it.
Yeah, agreed. I think my mom-in-law was 95 or so when in her condo, she's living independently, her thermostat finally went out after 60 plus years or whatever. So they had to replace it. But of course, they don't replace old
Oh.
thermostats with old thermostats. They put in a new smart home
Mhm.
thermostat. And she called me one day and her voice sounded all muffled. And I said, are you okay? She said, I'm under the covers. I said, why are you under the covers? She says, because the condo is freezing. I said, why is it freezing? Why don't you change the thermostat? She says, I don't know how. She did not. I mean, she did. She's used to the lever, and now she's got
Yep.
the buttons and or whatever, and she didn't know
Hmm.
how to do it. So I had to call somebody in her. She lived in a 55 plus, so I called someone in the computer club to come and do that for her because she didn't know how. She was
But I
under the
I love
covers.
that because, I'm in that generation where I grew up with the little dial and the lever,
Right,
and now I was been forced to learn the touch screen,
right.
so I can 100% appreciate that knowledge gap. And of
Yeah,
course I've got kids who in their early 20s and there's still things on the phone that I'm like, what am I supposed to do? And they're like, Mom, are you kidding me? You don't know, what
I
kids are,
know.
but yeah, I
I
can totally
know.
appreciate that. Aw.
Yeah. And what's going to happen when we're 95, if we're lucky enough to get to that? Are we going to even be able to get into our own home? Are we going to need some kind of something or other that's not going to work? I mean, I don't know. It's fascinating, but you're right. The education part has to be there. But of course, it's
Mhm.
more difficult when there's a cognitive decline, even if it's not officially diagnosed as dementia or
Correct.
they
Yep.
refuse to go for diagnosis,
Hmm.
then it can actually become a danger
Big
versus
time.
helping them. And that's why, as you mentioned before, I love the sensors, around the house or whatever can be built in to
Yeah.
help the families, no matter where they live, to keep an eye on their elder, loved one
Yes.
without it being a camera. I think, as you
Right.
said, so many of them now are just like a sensor. Like so and so is they're in a room. Someone's in the room and then someone's here, or someone's on the floor, but
Yep.
it's not a camera, so it's not invasive. At least,
Yeah. Yeah, that
yeah,
could be a really big issue, obviously. If the person knows that there's a camera there, and of course they're going to feel like they're being watched and monitored. And, I don't blame them. I would too, you know,
yeah. Nobody
but
wants to be
sometimes you
watched.
have to. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you have to do whatever to, yeah, to just to keep yourself safe. Look, it's all
Yep.
about living longer, a good quality of life at the end of the day.
Yep.
Um, so talking about that, got good quality of life. I think a lot of what when I speak to a lot of aging in place specialists, and the one thing that I notice that they don't talk much about is fun and
Mhm.
activities, leisure, and I think that has to be an important part of your day. Um,
Definitely. Yes.
whatever it is you enjoy doing, reading, puzzles, watching movies, taking a walk, whatever, why isn't I mean, I don't know why that isn't addressed. If so, do you talk about that with your clients? Is that part of your assessment? How do what is your view of that?
Absolutely. Again, kind of go back to our OT roots, leisure activities and stuff is one of the biggest ADL, that we kind of focus on sometimes because it is so important. My personality is one of I have to have fun or I'm not doing it. I mean, that's just how it is. And I love comedy. I love to laugh, and it is quite frankly a major coping mechanism of mine. And I feel like you
Yeah.
have to infuse some fun. Now, I'm not saying, oh yeah, let's go skip it down the hallway and, be doing some cartwheels and, obviously it has to be tailored. But even simple things like, maybe not somebody might not look at this as fun, but I look at this as something joyful during the day. I
Yes.
love cookies. And I had a patient a while back, and this guy was in his late 90s, and we'd seen his wife as a patient also in her late 90s. This is when I was working home health. And his fun thing that he looked forward to every day is at 2 o'clock, he had coffee and cookies. And that was his fun time of the day. I mean, he had, this really nice place setting and coffee cup. And, I use like a crappy old plastic plate and any kind of coffee cup I can find. It's
Yeah.
coffee and cookies. That's all I care about. But that's really what brought fun to his day. And me too. I mean, I would feel the same way any time of day. Coffee and cookies, and my whole life lights up. But it could be anything as simple as, having someone's wheelchair decorated the way they like.
Yeah.
I used to do, well, I still do, but custom wheelchair evaluations for people. And we've gotten like John Deere, stickers to put on it for people, or just different colors or decorated with different things that's their personality.
Yeah.
Even clothing. I've had people that love SpongeBob SquarePants, and they'll have, all sorts of pajama sets of SpongeBob. But that's what they like. That's what infuses their personality into it. And that's how I feel like you have to have some kind of fun.
Yeah, you have to incorporate that into your day. And the caregiver
Mm.
too. If it's a family
Yes.
caregiver, that has to be incorporated in there. Yeah, I made a website called
Okay.
funseniorholidays.com, and the idea was to give caregivers of people with dementia or some kind of cognitive decline things that they could do every single day of the year. And I tailored it to one of those wacky holidays, like National Cookie Day or, Adopt a Rabbit Day, whatever. And then I would put down several activities that they could do for that day, based on that theme. That way it's always something different instead of the same old whatever they may be
Yes,
doing, because it's hard to come up with activities
it
for
really is.
everyone. You get a little tired of things after a while, but it is
Yes.
those little things, the hobbies, the routines, the little moments during the day that can make life really amazing. You don't have to
Hmm.
travel the world to
Nope.
have a fulfilling life. You can do it right at home. A lot of my friends, now that they're retired, their whole big thing is travel, 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 travel. And yet they're stressed before they travel. They are exhausted when they come back from travel. They don't remember
Hmm.
where they traveled. Where's
Yeah.
this picture? I don't remember. Was it here? Was it there? I don't know. And I think to myself, I don't know if that's
Yeah.
worth it.
It's not for everybody,
It's not
for
for
sure.
everyone, but it's what we were taught. When you retire, you travel. When you get married, you have children. When you do this,
Hmm.
you don't always have to do that. And again, that goes back to identifying your core values and then following
Yes.
them if you can, if you're
Yes.
brave enough to do that. If you can. I wish they taught that in school. I would have loved to have learned that and not have to
Me
wait till.
too.
I
I
know,
know.
I know.
I
Critical
mean,
thinking.
really, when it comes down to it, I mean, for me, I mean, nothing else matters.
No,
I
nothing else
mean,
matters.
I don't care how much money you have. I don't care how much money you make. I don't care how attractive you are. I don't care how homely you think you might be. It's the same for everybody.
It is.
I mean, I'm sure again, you probably had the similar experiences I have. I've seen patients literally in homes that are almost condemned
Yeah.
with, rats and termites running around,
Yeah.
hoarders, and I've had patients who are literally multimillionaires.
Yeah.
And it's the same issue, same issue. You got to know what your priorities are,
Ex-
period.
exactly. You really do.
And
You really
it's what it
do.
comes down
And
to.
yeah, I mean, but I get it. We're all at different levels of evolvement. Is that a
Yes.
word? I don't know.
Yep.
We're all at different levels. So, I always say, accept what someone can give you and don't blame
Mm-hmm.
them for what they can't, because
Absolutely.
that's the only
I'm
way
gonna
that you
steal
can.
that from you.
Well, it's the only way you can live with, the otherness of another person.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I got that from a psychologist on YouTube. Yeah, I
Awesome.
know. So, obviously, when you go into a home, the client is not the only client. The caregiver or the family is also your client. And a lot of times nowadays, with so many people living longer and longer, thank God to medicine and science and all of that, you're a good example of that. Then what I'm seeing is that seniors are now caring for seniors. The children are
Mm-hmm.
in their 70s and the parents are in their 90s or more. So
Yeah.
obviously your education training is involves all of them. So do you have incorporated in your service when you go in anything about caregiver stress or burnout, or how does that fit in, if it does at all?
It has to fit in because it's just part of the puzzle piece of the whole situation. It all has to be addressed.
Right.
And as a caregiver myself, I mean, I fully understand the burnout aspect, and I do have support. But it has to be addressed because it's again the reality. If you're 70 caring for a 95-year-old woman, that's actually in my family is that kind of situation too. You have got to take care of yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Even if you're not 70, I don't care if you're 35. You're
Sure.
not going to be 35 forever. It builds up. The stress will kill you. Trust me. It's one of the factors in my own death.
Oh,
Um, you just have to do it. You have to. And if you don't think that you can push it down and hide it and you'll, deal with it later. It's going to come back and it's not going to be in a way that you want it to come out. And it's not going to be pretty and it's just nothing that anybody wants. You have to address the stress. Any way, shape, and form that can be. I just did a social media post about this a few weeks ago. Even if you have 10 minutes and you work, you're busy. I've done this before many times myself. Go go take your car, go sit in a parking lot at Meijer, Walmart. I don't care where you're at. Just sit in the car, 10 minutes. You can look on your phone if that makes you happy. You can sit there and stare into space and do freaking nothing if that makes you happy.
right.
Something.
Right.
Um, and I know guilt is one of the big emotion everybody feels. We listen, it's human nature. We can't
Right.
get away from our feelings,
Right.
but you have to face it. You're doing the best that you possibly can with the resources that you have. And I'll tell you one thing for sure. I'm pretty sure your parents, I know mine have been this way. They did not want you to destroy yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually to take
Right.
care of them.
Right.
So, if nothing else, use that reason. But we all have to live our lives and try not to, create a life of pain, misery, and disability, not only for our parents, but for ourselves.
It's true.
So,
It's true. I have a friend of mine who literally put her life almost on hold. I mean, she continued working, but every other minute of the day was dedicated to taking care of her mother,
mm,
who, passed away, and then afterwards her father. So it was several years of that. And almost, I don't know, a month or two after her father did finally pass away, you know, she had, severe breast
oh,
cancer. And,
yeah. I
and ever
mean,
since then, it's been one thing after the other. And
mhm,
the stress, it really, like you said, it comes out in one way or the other.
mhm,
So take control, take
yeah.
control and honor that. But you're right. The other side of the coin there is the guilt. I'm not doing enough. I need to help him, her. I need to help them,
Mhm,
and it's often laid on one person.
yeah.
And then a lot of times also, if you're lucky enough to have wonderful parents who don't want you to go through that, you know, that's great. But if you have parents who you don't have a great relationship with, or who are abusive, or
Oh
whatever issues
man.
are going on with them, you got that on top of everything else. There's so many different factors. One of YouTube
Mm,
videos I did that gets a lot of comments and likes and whatever is a video I did about how to deal with abusive elderly
mm.
parents, because obviously we know there's elder abuse, but hardly anybody ever talks about the
Oh,
abuse that parents give to their caregivers, their
it
adult
is so
children.
huge that drives me insane. I listened to not listened to, it's a social media post a few months ago, and somebody had commented about this, that she took care of both her parents. They had always been physically abusive to her, and they both had ended up having like dementia, maybe Alzheimer's, I can't remember. But her dad physically abused her so horribly. I mean, in their later older ages, that he broke several bones in her body, and she was in the hospital for months and couldn't work for a year. And she still went back to taking care of him.
Yeah,
People,
yeah.
people, you cannot do this. You cannot
No,
do this. You
mm,
can, but you're just giving up the rest of your life. And that
ex
is just, that makes me sick and
exactly.
sad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think my experience has been, I call it the more so disease. However you are when you're younger, you're only more so when you're older, you know? So
I'm going to steal that from you too.
steal it, take it, use it, write a book about it, go for it. But it's the more so disease. I mean, I saw that in all my years of OT and family, and they would say, "Oh no, well, you just hear the stories, and then you can
Oh
see
man.
it. It's very rare that they become a different person. They are who
Yes.
they are, and it's not going to change. But I get it. I get it. You're hungry for the parent that you wish you had, and you're hoping that they
Mhm.
will change, and it never does. But
Not gonna
then
happen.
no, but then at that point, who actually does become the patient, or client?
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is
Yep.
the caregiver and not the person themselves. So,
Mm.
so what else would you like me to, what else would you like to tell us, or tell my viewers, readers, listeners, however they're
Oh
watching,
man.
listening, about
Um,
comfortable aging? Well, first of all, Comfortable Aging Solutions is in where? What location?
well, I'm in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and I serve like about a roughly 1 hour radius. I can do in-person home safety evaluations, and I also do one-on-one consulting.
Hmm.
But obviously through technology, I do virtual home assessments for safety, and the one-on-one counseling virtually as well.
That's
So I've even
excellent.
had some women from Australia contact me. I'm going to be setting up some groups for them. She has a business of her own that I'm going to be working and providing some additional education for some of the groups that she does over there. So I think that's really exciting.
Oh, I
So
love
it's
that.
yeah, I know. It's going to be really cool. We're in the process of working on that now, but I mean, I guess just my main thing is, again, home safety. Then the reason I created my own home safety evaluation is, again, as OTs, we've seen all these other people's and other businesses, medical systems, home safety evaluations that they've created. But mine's a little different. I think they all are probably a little different. If as a therapist we create our own.
Yeah.
But I think it's the trained eye. The trained eye. I have to see the person move in the environment.
Hmm.
I don't care how much you can describe to me someone's bathroom situation, their home situation. They're going to do it a certain way. And I'm going to pick up on that little hidden area that, safety wise needs to be addressed that maybe the caregiver has no idea, doesn't pay attention to, doesn't think about. So for me, that's one of the big things. It's not just like a checklist. I do it
Hmm.
with the people in real time.
Hmm.
And that's important to me because that's the only way I can feel really good about what I'm recommending, you know. Um, and again, just talking about it. I've been talking on social media for a long time. Talk to your parents. Talk to your parents. And by the way, talk to your parents.
Um,
And just talk about it. I don't care how uncomfortable it is. There are ways to find out. I can help find ways for you to talk to them about it in a more comfortable way. Um, but deal with it. Don't just, ignore it.
Yeah, don't sweep it under the rug
Yeah.
because as you said, it's going to turn into a shit show if you don't. I just spoke with someone last week from New York. He created this peel away product. And have you seen that? Have you
The
that
sheets.
yeah, the sheet.
Yes.
So I just ordered
Yes.
it. I just got it yesterday, so I
Did
haven't
you? Yeah.
tried. Yeah, I haven't tried it yet. I'm going to do a video on it. But
Yeah.
that's exactly what happened to him. His mom at 62 or 63 had a stroke and
Mm-hmm.
a pretty severe stroke. So it threw the family into a turmoil because
Yep.
they weren't prepared for any of that.
Yep.
And it's been a year-long journey of them going through the maze of everything, and she was young. I mean, that's a young
Yeah.
age to have such a
Yeah.
stroke. So yeah, it can
I
really,
talked to him a few months ago. I not through Zoom, but through messaging, because I
uh-huh.
had not seen his products before. Although I think I might have seen it on Shark Tank when he was on a long time ago, my Shark
Yeah,
Tank
it
junkie.
was on Shark Tank. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, because that was possibly a need I was going to have at that point in time anyway. This was just a few months ago. But yeah, that is so amazing. And I've run into some other people that have invented some new things too that I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just, again, going back to technology. I mean, it's going to
Yes.
help so much stuff. It's incredible.
It really is. I mean, it's a good time to grow older.
Yeah, it is. Yes. Yes, it is.
Hopefully, hopefully it's
Yeah.
a good time. We'll see how things end up.
We might be hit by a bus tomorrow. Who knows?
Yeah, but you know what? That's okay. You led a purposeful life
I'll have
today
no
up
regrets.
until, and that's right. You have no
Yep,
regrets,
no regrets.
it's not. Christy, I want to thank you so much for spending time with me. Stay on, don't hang up,
Thank
but
you.
thank you so much. Everyone, I hope you learned a lot from this and check out Comfortable Aging Solutions. Oh, what is the website?
I
It's
just
Comfortable Aging Solutions.
comfortableagingsolutions.com.
Check
Yep,
it
you can go
out.
there and you can book a free coffee chat with me, which is where I just talk to you and get to know your situation and, you know, how I can help you better.
I love it. Thank you so much for creating that. I look forward
Thank
to that
you.
becoming a big franchise company.
We'll
All right.
see. Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, you're welcome, Christy. I enjoyed it. Thank you for the time. Thank you. Thank you.
This podcast is part of our mission to help older adults live safely and independently. If you'd like to take the next step, visit aginginplacedirectory.com, where you'll find specialists, helpful resources, and inspiration to make every home your place to thrive.